There's a road out there that doesn't appear on any map, yet people keep finding it. They all say the same thing: the horizon never gets closer. And no one who realizes the truth ever makes it back.
Welcome to Horror Audiobook.
This is not just a story about getting lost on a highway. This is about what happens when reality breaks, when distance stops meaning anything, when time stretches into something alive, and when the road beneath you begins to decide your fate. Tonight, you'll follow Rafiq, a man who made one wrong turn and entered a place where escape is an illusion, a place where the fuel never runs out, the night never ends, and the horizon becomes a promise designed to break you. Because on this highway, you don't reach the end. The end reaches you. Chapter 1. You should have never taken that turn. It was just one wrong turn. That's what Rafiq would tell himself later, over and over again, like repeating it might somehow shrink what came after, like reducing it to something small, something ordinary. But nothing about that night was ordinary. The road had been familiar at first. A long stretch of highway cutting through the outskirts of the city, lined with dim orange streetlights and the occasional roadside stall, still glowing faintly even past midnight. Rafiq had driven it dozens of times before, always on his way back home after late shifts. It was predictable, safe. That's why he didn't think twice when the GPS flickered. At first it was subtle. A small glitch. The route line jittered, then snapped into a different direction. A new path appeared, shorter, cleaner, slicing through a section of land that Rafiq didn't remember ever seeing on the map before. He frowned. Recalculating, the GPS voice said calmly. Rafiq glanced at the time on the dashboard. 2:17 a.m. He exhaled slowly. He was tired. His eyes burned from the long shift, his shoulders stiff from hours behind a desk. The thought of shaving even 15 minutes off the drive home felt necessary. The GPS chimed again. Faster route found. He hesitated. Just for a second. Because something about it felt off. The new road didn't have a name. It was just a thin gray line cutting into darkness. No traffic indicators, no landmarks, no labels. Still, the estimated time dropped. 17 minutes saved. Rafiq let out a quiet breath and gave a small shrug to no one. It's just one wrong turn if it's bad, he muttered. And then he took it. The moment his car left the main highway, everything changed. Not dramatically, not all at once. But enough. The first thing he noticed was the silence. The hum of distant traffic disappeared almost instantly, like someone had flipped a switch. The world behind him, cars, lights, life, collapsed into nothing. Only his engine remained. A low, steady growl beneath him. The road narrowed. The streetlights vanished. And ahead there was only darkness. Rafiq leaned forward slightly, squinting through the windshield. Strange, he murmured. The headlights carved out a thin tunnel of visibility, revealing smooth asphalt stretching forward in a perfectly straight line. No cracks, no markings, no signs. Just road. On either side there was nothing. No trees, no buildings. Just a vast, empty blackness that seemed to swallow the edges of the world. He reached for the radio. Static. He twisted the knob. More static. Great, he sighed under his breath. The GPS screen flickered again. The map zoomed out, farther than it should have, until the surrounding area disappeared entirely. Only the thin gray road remained, and a small arrow representing his car. Floating in nothing. Rafiq frowned. That's not right. He tapped the screen. No response. For a moment, he considered turning back. The thought came quietly, naturally. Just a small whisper in the back of his mind. turn around. But he didn't, because the road ahead looked normal enough, because the car was running fine, because deep down he still believed. It was just one wrong turn. Minutes passed, or at least what felt like minutes. Rafiq kept driving. The road didn't change, not even slightly. No curves, no intersections, no signs of civilization. Just an endless, straight path stretching into the dark. He checked the rearview mirror. Nothing behind him. No headlights, no distant glow. It was as if the world he came from had been erased. A subtle unease began to creep into his chest. He adjusted his grip on the steering wheel. How long has it been? He glanced at the dashboard clock. 2:19 a.m. His brow furrowed. That wasn't right. He could have sworn he'd been driving for at least 10 minutes. Maybe more. He shook his head lightly. Just tired, he whispered. But the feeling didn't leave. The air inside the car felt different. He couldn't explain it. It wasn't colder. It wasn't warmer. But it felt heavier, like something unseen had filled the space around him. Pressing in. Watching. Rafiq swallowed. His eyes flicked back to the road. Still the same. Still endless. Still wrong. He leaned forward again, squinting harder this time. And that's when he noticed it. The horizon. It didn't move. At first, he thought it was a trick of the eyes. A result of the darkness, of the lack of reference points. But the longer he stared, the clearer it became. No matter how fast he drove, no matter how long he continued, the horizon stayed exactly where it was. Fixed. Unchanging. Impossible. A cold prickle crawled up the back of his neck. That's not possible. He pressed slightly harder on the accelerator. The engine responded. The speedometer climbed. But the horizon didn't get any closer. It was just one wrong turn. The thought returned. But now it sounded different. Not reassuring. Not logical. But hollow. Like something trying to convince him of a lie. Rafiq's breathing grew shallow. He glanced at the GPS again. The screen had changed. The gray road was still there. But now, there was something else. A small line of text. Faint, almost blending into the background. He leaned closer. And read it. Continue straight. That was it. No distance. No estimated time. Just those two words. Repeated. Again. And again. And again. Stacked on top of each other like a broken command. Continue straight. Continue straight. Continue straight. Rafiq felt his stomach tighten. No. He tapped the screen harder this time. Nothing. The words didn't disappear. They just stayed. A sound broke the silence. Soft. Faint. Behind him. Rafiq froze. His hands tightened on the wheel. Slowly, carefully, he looked into the rearview mirror. At first, there was nothing. Just darkness. Then, for the briefest moment, he thought he saw something move. A flicker. A shape. Far behind him. Gone as quickly as it appeared. Rafiq's heart began to pound. Okay. He let out a shaky breath. Just keep driving. Because stopping didn't feel like an option. Turning around didn't feel possible. And something deep inside him was beginning to understand. This wasn't a shortcut. This wasn't a mistake. This was something else. The road stretched on. Unchanging. Unending. And somewhere far ahead, the horizon waited, exactly where it had always been. Watching, it was just one wrong turn. And already, there was no way back. Chapter 2. The Road That Shouldn't Exist. This road isn't real. The thought didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, carefully, like something testing the edges of Rafiq's mind before stepping fully inside. At first he tried to ignore it, because acknowledging it would mean accepting something far worse. The car continued forward. The engine hummed steadily, almost too steadily, like it had settled into a rhythm that no longer depended on Rafiq's control. His hands still gripped the steering wheel, but the longer he drove, the more it felt like he was just accompanying the motion. Not controlling it, just along for the ride. The road hadn't changed. Not once. No cracks. No signs. No variation in texture or color. It was as if someone had taken a single stretch of asphalt and copied it endlessly into the distance. Perfect. Unnatural. Wrong. Rafiq blinked hard and reached for his phone. No signal. Of course. He let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh than relief. Okay, calm down. His voice felt too loud inside the car. Too sharp. Like it didn't belong in the silence surrounding him. He opened his map app. It loaded, slowly, glitching as if struggling to connect to something real. Then it displayed his location. Or at least, something pretending to be his location. A blank grid. No roads. No terrain. Just a small blinking dot. And beneath it, a label that made his stomach twist. Unknown route. This road isn't real. He said it out loud this time. And hearing it made it worse. Because now it wasn't just a thought. It was something solid. Something spoken. Something that couldn't be taken back. He checked the rearview mirror again. Still nothing. The darkness behind him was absolute. Not just empty, but consuming. Like it wasn't the absence of light. It was the presence of something else. Something that didn't allow light to exist. Rafiq swallowed. Just drive. The phrase slipped out instinctively. But it didn't feel like his own voice. It felt echoed. Like something had repeated it a fraction of a second after he said it. The dashboard clock flickered. 2:19 a.m. Still, it hadn't changed. Not once. Rafiq stared at it longer this time. Waiting. Watching. Seconds passed. Or at least they should have. But the numbers didn't move. The colon between the digits didn't blink. Time itself had stopped. A cold wave of realization washed over him. No. He tapped the clock. Nothing. Still frozen. The road stretched forward. Unchanging. The horizon remained exactly where it was. Unreachable. And now, time wasn't moving either. Rafiq's chest tightened. This road isn't real. The words came again. Stronger this time. More certain. Because real roads didn't do this. Real roads had signs. Turns. Imperfections. They existed within the world. This one didn't. He tightened his grip on the wheel and made a decision. Enough. His voice shook, but the resolve behind it was real. I'm turning around. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Unwelcome. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the car slowed. Not because he pressed the brake, but because it chose to. The engine's hum dipped into a low growl. The air inside the car grew heavier. Denser. As if the road itself had heard him. Rafiq's heart slammed against his ribs. No, no, I'm turning around. He reached for the steering wheel and began to turn it. Slowly at first. Carefully. The car resisted. Not physically, but something about it felt wrong. Like turning, the wheel didn't connect to anything anymore. Still, he pushed harder. The wheel turned. The car responded. The headlights shifted, illuminating the side of the road for the first time. And what they revealed was nothing. Not grass. Not dirt. Not even emptiness. Just darkness. Thick. Solid. Endless. Like the edge of reality itself had been cut clean away. Rafiq froze. The wheel stopped halfway through the turn. His breath caught in his throat. What is that? The darkness didn't reflect the headlights. It didn't react at all. It just absorbed everything. A sudden sharp crack filled the car. The radio. It burst to life with a violent hiss of static. Rafiq flinched. The sound was deafening in the silence. Then, a voice. Faint. Distorted. Edu. Rafiq's eyes widened. What? The static surged. The voice came again. Clearer this time. Closer. Don't turn around. The words sent a chill straight through his spine. He stared at the radio. His reflection flickered faintly on its surface. Who is that? No answer. Just static. Then, you won't like what's behind you. The voice wasn't mechanical. It wasn't part of a broadcast. It sounded human. But wrong. Like it was being pulled through something before reaching him. Rafiq's hands trembled on the wheel. Slowly, he looked at the rearview mirror. The darkness stared back. Endless. Silent. Waiting. Keep driving. The radio whispered. It's safer. Rafiq's breath came in shallow bursts. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to stop. To get out. To run. But run where? There was nowhere to go. No ground beyond the road. No world beyond the headlights. This road isn't real. He whispered again. But now, it didn't feel like a realization. It felt like a warning. The car jerked forward suddenly. The wheel snapped back into place in his hands. The engine roared back to life. And without touching the accelerator, the car began to speed up. Rafiq gasped. No, no, stop. But the car didn't listen. It surged forward. Faster. And faster. The horizon remained still. Mocking him. Waiting. The radio crackled one last time. Good choice. Then silence. Rafiq sat frozen. His hands locked on the wheel. His eyes fixed ahead. The road stretched endlessly before him. Unchanged. Unyielding. Unreal. This road isn't real. And now, it wouldn't let him leave. Chapter 3. The horizon never moves. The first time Rafiq truly understood something was wrong was the moment he realized the horizon was watching him back. At first, it had just been a feeling. A quiet discomfort sitting at the edge of his thoughts. The kind you dismiss. The kind you explain away. Because accepting it would mean accepting something impossible. But now there was no ignoring it. The car sped forward, faster than before, faster than he would ever normally drive on an empty road at night. The engine roared, the tires hummed, the faint vibration of motion ran through the steering wheel into his hands. Everything told him he was moving. Everything except the horizon. It stayed exactly where it was. Perfectly still. Perfectly distant. Rafiq leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as if focus alone could break the illusion. No. He pressed harder on the accelerator. The speedometer climbed. 80, 90, 100. The engine strained. The sound filled the car. But the horizon didn't move. Not closer. Not farther. Just there. Like a painted backdrop glued to reality. You're not getting closer. The thought slipped into his mind so clearly, so suddenly, it felt like it hadn't come from him. Rafiq stiffened. What? His voice was barely a whisper. You're not getting closer. This time he was sure of it. The words echoed again. Not from the radio. Not from outside. From inside his own head. Rafiq shook his head violently. No, no, that's not. He cut himself off. Because arguing with it felt useless. Because deep down, he knew it was right. The road stretched forward endlessly. Unchanging. The headlights illuminated the same strip of asphalt over and over again, like a loop that refused to break. Rafiq glanced at the lines on the road. Except there were no lines. No markings. No signs. Just a blank, featureless surface. How long has this been going on? He checked the dashboard clock again. 2:19 a.m. Still. Frozen. Unmoving. His breathing quickened. That's not possible. He looked back at the horizon. Still there. Still unmoving. Still wrong. You're not getting closer. The phrase returned. Louder this time. More insistent. It didn't feel like a thought anymore. It felt like a truth. Rafiq tightened his grip on the wheel. Fine. His voice trembled, but there was a spark of defiance behind it. Then I'll prove it. He reached forward and pressed the pedal down as far as it would go. The car surged. The engine screamed. The speedometer climbed past numbers he didn't even register anymore. The world outside blurred. Or at least it should have. But it didn't. The road looked exactly the same. The darkness on either side remained solid. And the horizon stayed perfectly still. Rafiq's breath caught in his throat. No. His voice cracked. No, that's not, this isn't. He couldn't finish the sentence. Because there were no words for what he was seeing. For what he wasn't seeing. You're not getting closer. The phrase pulsed again. Steady. Rhythmic. Like a heartbeat. Rafiq's vision began to blur. Not from speed. From panic. His chest tightened. His fingers ached from gripping the wheel too hard. Okay, think. He forced himself to breathe. In. Out. In. The road changed. Just for a second. Rafiq blinked. And suddenly, there was something there. Far ahead. A shape. Dark. Tall. Standing directly in the middle of the road. Rafiq's heart leapt into his throat. What? He slammed on the brakes. The tires screeched. The car lurched violently. But the distance didn't change. The shape didn't get closer. Didn't get farther. It stayed exactly where it was. Just like the horizon. Rafiq's breath came in sharp, panicked bursts. What is that? He leaned forward again, squinting into the darkness. The shape didn't move. Didn't shift. Didn't react. It just stood there. Waiting. You're not getting closer. The phrase echoed again. Now it made sense. Not as a warning, but as a rule. Rafiq slowly eased his foot off the brake. The car didn't slow down. It kept moving. Forward. Toward the shape. But the distance between them remained unchanged. Like they were locked in place, separated by something invisible. Something absolute. No. Rafiq shook his head. That's not real. His voice sounded smaller now. Weaker. This isn't real. The shape ahead twitched. Just slightly. Just enough. Rafiq froze. No. The figure lifted its head. And even from that impossible distance, Rafiq knew. It was looking directly at him. A cold wave of dread washed over him. Because now he understood something worse than the horizon. Worse than the road. Worse than time standing still. If the distance never changed, then whatever was ahead of him had always been watching. The shape raised an arm. Slowly, deliberately, and pointed. Not at the road. Not at the horizon. But at him. Rafiq gasped. No, no, no. The headlights flickered. The shape vanished. Gone. As if it had never been there. Rafiq's chest heaved. His eyes darted across the empty road. Nothing. No figure. No movement. Just the endless stretch of asphalt. You're not getting closer. The phrase whispered one last time. But now, it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a promise. Rafiq slumped slightly in his seat, his grip on the wheel trembling. The car continued forward. Unstoppable. Unchanging. The horizon remained exactly where it had always been. Waiting. Watching. Unreachable. And somewhere deep in his mind, a new thought began to form. Quiet. Terrifying. Unavoidable. If he wasn't getting closer to the horizon, then maybe the horizon was getting closer to him. Chapter 4. The first car that passes you twice. The first time Rafiq saw another car, he almost cried. It appeared suddenly, not emerging from the darkness, not approaching from the distance, but simply there, ahead of him, driving in the same direction. For a moment, Rafiq just stared. His breath caught somewhere between relief and disbelief. A car meant a driver. A driver meant a person. And a person meant, I'm not alone. The words slipped out like a prayer. The vehicle was old. A faded white sedan, its paint chipped and dull under the headlights. It moved steadily, not too fast, not too slow, just enough to sit comfortably in front of him. Rafiq felt something inside his chest loosen. Finally, something real. He pressed lightly on the accelerator. The distance between them didn't change. His relief faltered. Okay. He pressed harder. Still nothing. The car remained exactly the same distance ahead. Just like the horizon. A flicker of unease crept back in. But Rafiq pushed it down. No, no, this is good, this is good. He reached forward and flashed his headlights. Once, twice, 3 times. The beams cut through the darkness, reflecting faintly off the other car's rear window. No response. Hey. Rafiq's voice felt useless the moment it left his mouth. The sound didn't travel beyond the glass. Didn't reach the other car. Didn't matter. He leaned forward, straining his eyes. The silhouette of the driver was barely visible. A shape. Still. Rigid. Not moving. Not reacting. Can you hear me? Rafiq flashed the lights again. Nothing. The car continued forward. Unchanged. Unaware. The silence returned. Thicker this time. Heavier. Because now it wasn't just empty. Now it was shared. Minutes passed. Or something like minutes. Time had lost its meaning. But eventually, something changed. The car ahead drifted slightly. Not swerving. Not turning. Just shifting. Like it wasn't perfectly aligned with the road anymore. Rafiq frowned. What? The sedan moved a little closer to the edge of the asphalt. Toward the darkness. No, 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 stay on the road. Rafiq's grip tightened. He didn't know why he said it. Didn't know why he cared. But something about it felt wrong. Deeply wrong. The car continued drifting. Closer. Closer. Until half of it slipped into the darkness. Rafiq's heart stopped. The headlights illuminated it clearly now. The front half of the sedan remained on the road. But the back half was gone. Swallowed completely. As if the darkness had consumed it without resistance. Without sound. Rafiq gasped. What? The car didn't stop. Didn't crash. Didn't react. It just kept moving forward. Half visible. Half erased. And then, it snapped back. Instantly. Violently. Back onto the center of the road. Whole again. Untouched. Rafiq's breath came in sharp bursts. No, no, I saw that. His voice shook. That wasn't. He couldn't finish. Because deep down, he knew it was real. The sedan continued ahead. Steady. Unchanging. Like nothing had happened. Rafiq swallowed hard. Okay. His voice was barely a whisper now. Okay, just follow it. Because following felt safer than being alone. Because as long as that car was there, he wasn't the only one trapped. The road stretched on. Endless. Silent. Unmoving. Then, the headlights appeared. Behind him. Rafiq froze. His eyes snapped to the rearview mirror. A distant glow. Faint, but unmistakable. Another car. Relief surged again. Then confusion. Then something worse. Because the headlights were familiar. The shape of the beams. The slight flicker on the left side. The way they cut through the darkness. No. Rafiq's voice dropped to a hollow whisper. No, that's not possible. The car behind him got closer. Slowly. Steadily. Until it was right there. Just a few lengths behind. Rafiq stared into the mirror. And saw it. Clearly. Undeniably. The same white sedan. His chest tightened. No, 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 no. He looked forward. The car was still there. Ahead of him. Unchanged. Unmoving. Then he looked back. And there it was again. Behind him. Two identical cars. One in front. One behind. Both the same distance away. Both moving at the same speed. Both silent. That's not real. Rafiq whispered. That's not real. The car behind him flickered its headlights. Once. Twice. 3 times. Rafiq's heart dropped. Because that's exactly what he had done earlier. Slowly. Very slowly. The car ahead of him began to change. Its rear window darkened. The silhouette inside shifted. Moved. For the first time. Rafiq leaned forward, his breath caught in his throat. The driver inside was turning. Not toward the road. Not toward anything outside. Toward him. Rafiq's pulse pounded in his ears. No. The driver's head turned fully. Too slowly. Too smoothly. Like it wasn't bound by bones. And then it stopped, facing directly backward, staring at him through the rear window. The face was wrong. Not just unfamiliar. Wrong. The eyes were too wide. Too empty. Too aware. And the mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Rafiq gasped. His hands tightened around the wheel. Behind him, the second car's headlights flickered again. Closer this time. A voice whispered. Not from the radio. Not from outside. From everywhere. Don't make eye contact. Rafiq snapped his gaze forward. His breathing ragged. His heart racing. But it was too late. Because, in the reflection of his windshield, he could still see it. The driver, watching him, smiling. The cars didn't move closer. Didn't move farther. They stayed exactly where they were. Just like the horizon. Just like everything else on this road. And now, Rafiq understood something new. Something worse. He wasn't just being trapped. He was being watched. And whatever was watching him had already learned how he reacted. The road stretched endlessly ahead. The cars held their places. The darkness pressed in. And somewhere between the front and the back, between what he had seen and what he refused to see again, Rafiq realized the truth. He wasn't following that car. It was following him. Chapter 5. Your fuel should be empty by now. At some point, Rafiq stopped trusting his eyes. So he turned to something simpler. Something logical. Something that couldn't lie. The fuel gauge. It was a small thing. Almost insignificant. But in a world that no longer made sense, it felt like the last piece of reality he could hold onto. Rafiq forced his breathing to slow. In, out, just think. He glanced down at the dashboard. The needle sat just above half. Exactly where it had been when he left the city. That wasn't right. He frowned. No. His voice came out dry. That's not possible. He had been driving for how long now? Minutes, hours. Time had stopped making sense the moment he entered this road. But the engine had been running. The car had been moving. Fuel should have been burning. But it was. The needle didn't move. Not even slightly. Rafiq stared at it longer. Waiting. Watching. Hoping it would drop. Just a little. Just enough to prove something was still normal. It didn't. A cold weight settled in his chest. This road isn't real. He whispered it again. But now it felt deeper. More dangerous. Because if the fuel wasn't being used, then the car wasn't obeying the rules of the world anymore. And if the car wasn't real, then what did that make him? Rafiq quickly looked back at the road. The white sedan was still ahead. Still the same distance. Still wrong. Behind him, the second one remained. Watching. Waiting. He forced himself to look away. No focus. He reached out and tapped the dashboard. Harder this time. The plastic made a dull sound under his hand. Real. Solid. Okay. His voice shook. That means something. He pressed the accelerator slightly. The engine responded instantly. Too instantly. Too perfectly. There was no delay. No resistance. No imperfection. Just smooth, endless power. Rafiq's stomach tightened. This road wants you to keep driving. The thought slipped in quietly, but it didn't feel like his. He froze. What? The words echoed again. Clearer. Closer. This road wants you to keep driving. Rafiq's grip tightened on the wheel. No, that's... The engine suddenly roared louder, without him pressing the pedal further. His breath caught. No. The car accelerated. Again. Faster. And faster. The speedometer climbed. The numbers blurred. But nothing outside changed. The road remained the same. The horizon didn't move. The cars ahead and behind stayed perfectly in place. Like speed didn't matter. Like nothing he did mattered. This road wants you to keep driving. Rafiq shook his head violently. No, I'm in control. He slammed his foot on the brake. Nothing happened. No resistance. No slowing. No sound of friction. The car kept moving. Exactly the same. Rafiq's heart pounded. Stop. He pressed harder. Both feet now. Still nothing. The brake pedal felt wrong. Not stuck. Not broken. Just disconnected. Like it wasn't connected to anything anymore. Panic surged. No. The engine continued its steady roar. The car surged forward endlessly. Unstoppable. This road wants you to keep driving. The phrase wasn't a thought anymore. It was a rule. Rafiq's breathing became erratic. His hands trembled. Okay, think. His eyes darted around the car, looking for something. Anything. And that's when he noticed it. The fuel gauge. It hadn't just stayed the same. It had moved. Up. Rafiq froze. No. The needle slowly crept higher. Past half. Past 3/4. His chest tightened. That's not possible. It kept rising. Steadily. Unnaturally. Until it reached full. And then it didn't stop. The needle pushed past the maximum mark. Beyond the limit. Into a space where no measurement existed. Rafiq's breath hitched. What does that mean? The dashboard lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then stabilized. The fuel gauge remained pinned beyond full. A new realization crept in. Slow. Terrifying. This road doesn't want you to run out. Rafiq's voice trembled as he finished the thought. It wants you to keep going. The engine sound deepened. Not louder, but fuller. Like something alive was breathing beneath the hood. Rafiq swallowed hard. No, this isn't happening. The white sedan ahead flickered slightly. Just for a moment. And in that flicker, Rafiq saw something impossible. The back of the car wasn't solid. It was hollow. Inside, there was nothing. No seats. No driver. Just darkness. The car snapped back to normal. Rafiq gasped. No. Behind him, the second car's headlights flickered. And for a brief second, they went out. Complete darkness filled the mirror. Then, they came back on. Closer. Rafiq's pulse pounded in his ears. This road wants you to keep driving. Now it didn't feel like a warning. It felt like hunger. The car surged forward again. Faster. The road stretched endlessly ahead. The horizon remained fixed. The cars held their positions. And the fuel kept rising, as if the longer he stayed, the deeper he went, the more the road fed him something. Something he didn't understand. Something he couldn't stop. Rafiq's hands trembled violently on the wheel. His eyes locked forward. And somewhere deep inside, a realization took root. This wasn't about running out of fuel. This wasn't about escaping. This wasn't even about surviving. This road wasn't keeping him alive. It was keeping him going. Forever. And no matter what he did, the car would never stop. Because it was never meant to. Chapter 6. The radio knows your name. The radio turned on by itself. Rafiq didn't touch it. Didn't reach for it. Didn't even look at it. But the moment the sound came back, he knew. This time it wasn't static. Not entirely. It started that way. A low hiss. Soft at first. Like distant wind brushing against something hollow. Then it grew louder. Sharper. Closer. Rafiq stiffened in his seat. His eyes stayed fixed on the road. On the unmoving horizon. On the cars that refused to leave him. Adieu. The whisper slipped through the static. Rafiq's breath caught. It wasn't distorted anymore. Not like before. This voice was clearer. Closer. And it didn't sound like it was coming from the speakers. It sounded like it was inside the car. Don't listen. Rafiq slowly turned his head. Just slightly. His eyes drifted toward the radio. The display was different. Before it had shown nothing. Now, there was text. But it wasn't a station. Not a frequency. It was a name. Rafiq. His chest tightened instantly. No. The letters flickered. Then changed. Rafiq, keep driving. The words burned into the screen like they had always been there. Rafiq's hand moved instinctively. He reached for the knob. The moment his fingers touched it, the voice spoke again. It hears you. Rafiq froze. His hand hovering midair. What? His voice trembled. It hears everything. The radio crackled softly. The voice shifted. Not one voice anymore. Many. Layered. Whispering over each other. Keep driving. Don't stop. You can't stop. It won't let you. Rafiq yanked his hand back. Stop, stop. The voices didn't stop. They overlapped. Merged. Twisted into something unnatural. Then, suddenly, silence. The radio display flickered again. New text appeared. Do you remember? Rafiq's heart pounded. No, I don't. What is this? The screen changed. The night you drove too fast. Rafiq's breath hitched. A memory surfaced. Uninvited. Unwelcome. Rain. A different road. The sound of tires slipping. A figure. Standing too close to the street. Rafiq shook his head violently. No, that was. The radio crackled. You didn't stop. His hands tightened around the wheel. I didn't hit anyone. You didn't stop. The voice wasn't accusing. Not angry. Just stating a fact. The screen flickered again. You left. Rafiq's vision blurred. I didn't see them. His voice cracked. I didn't. You didn't look back. The words hit harder than anything else. Because they were true. Rafiq's breathing became shallow. His chest tightened. I was scared. You still are. The voices returned. Softer now. Closer. That's why you're here. That's why it chose you. You keep going. You never stop. Rafiq shook his head. No, that's not why. The radio volume surged. You never stopped driving. The sound filled the car. Overwhelming. Impossible to escape. Rafiq screamed. Shut up. The radio cut instantly. Silence. Heavy. Absolute. Rafiq sat frozen, his chest rising and falling rapidly, his hands trembling. The road stretched on. Unchanged. Unending. The cars remained. Ahead. Behind. Watching. Then, the radio turned on again. Softly. Gently. A single voice. Familiar. Rafiq. His breath caught. Help me. His eyes widened. That voice. He knew it. Not from the road. Not from the car. From before. From that night. No. You left me there. Rafiq's grip tightened painfully. I didn't see you. You heard me. His chest tightened. And suddenly, he remembered. The sound. A faint cry. Behind him. After the impact. He had heard it. And he had kept driving. Why didn't you stop? Rafiq's vision blurred with tears. I was scared. You're still scared. The voice was right beside him now. Not from the radio. From the passenger seat. Rafiq turned his head slowly. And for a split second, he saw it. A shape. Sitting there. Broken. Still. Watching him. Then. Gone. Rafiq gasped and snapped his gaze forward. No, 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 no. The radio whispered one last time. This road doesn't forget. Silence returned. But it wasn't empty anymore. Now it felt full. Filled with something that knew him. Something that remembered. The road stretched endlessly ahead. The horizon remained fixed. The cars stayed in place. And inside the car, Rafiq was no longer alone. Because now, the road wasn't just trapping him. It was reminding him of everything he tried to leave behind. And this time, there was no driving away. Chapter 7. The landmarks are changing. At first, Rafiq thought it was hope. A shape in the distance. Something new. Something different. After hours, maybe longer, of nothing but endless asphalt and unmoving darkness, even the smallest change felt like salvation. His eyes locked onto it. A faint structure. Low. Wide. Something's there. His voice cracked under the weight of disbelief. The shape slowly became clearer. As clear as anything could become on a road where distance didn't behave normally. A building. Rafiq leaned forward, his grip tightening on the wheel. There's a building. Relief surged through him. For the first time since he took that turn, something about the road felt real. Grounded. Normal. The headlights stretched toward it, illuminating more detail. A roof. A sign. Faded letters, barely visible through layers of grime. A gas station. Rafiq let out a breath that almost turned into a laugh. Okay, this is good. Gas station meant people. Help. Escape. Except, the distance didn't change. No matter how long he drove. No matter how fast. The gas station remained exactly where it was. Just like the horizon. Rafiq's smile faded. The building stayed fixed. Unreachable. But something else changed. The details. The first time he blinked, it looked abandoned. Cracked windows. Rust creeping along the edges of the pumps. The sign hanging crooked. The second time, it looked older. The paint had peeled further. The windows were gone completely. The pumps looked hollow, like empty shells. Rafiq's breath slowed. What? The third time. The building wasn't just abandoned. It was decayed. The structure sagged unnaturally. The roof partially collapsed. The walls stained with something dark. And the sign, the letters were gone, scratched away, leaving only jagged marks. Rafiq's chest tightened. I've seen this before. The thought slipped in quietly. You've been here before. The words didn't feel like his own. They felt placed. Rafiq shook his head. No, that's not. The gas station flickered. For a split second, it was whole again. Clean. Lit. Alive. Bright fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The pumps stood upright. The windows glowed warmly. And inside, there were people. Rafiq's heart jumped. Hey! Figures moved behind the glass. Silhouettes shifting. Turning. Watching. Hope surged again. Desperate. Fragile. Can you hear me? He flashed his headlights. Again. 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 The figures inside stopped moving. All at once. Then, slowly, they turned toward him. Every single one. Rafiq's breath caught. Even from that impossible distance, he could tell something was wrong. Their movements were too slow, too synchronized, and their faces were blank. No features, no eyes, no mouths, just smooth, pale surfaces staring directly at him. The lights inside flickered. The building changed again. Dark, rotten, collapsed, empty. Rafiq gasped. No. The gas station flickered again. Now, it was something else. The pumps were gone. In their place, tall shapes, thin, standing, like figures. Rafiq's hands trembled. What is that? The headlights struggled to define them. They looked like people, but stretched, distorted, too tall, too still, and they were all facing him. You've been here before. The phrase returned. Stronger. Rafiq's pulse pounded. No, I haven't. The shapes twitched. Just slightly. Like they had heard him. The gas station flickered again. Back to normal. Clean. Bright. Alive. The figures inside the building now had faces. But the faces were wrong. Each one looked like him. Rafiq's breath shattered into panic. No. They stood there. Perfect copies. Watching. Waiting. And one of them stepped forward, right up to the glass, pressed its hand against it, and mouthed something. Rafiq couldn't hear it. But he knew. He knew exactly what it said. Stay. The lights exploded. Darkness swallowed the building instantly. The gas station vanished. Gone. Like it had never been there. Rafiq's chest heaved. His vision blurred. No, that was real. But the road ahead was empty again. Endless. Unchanging. The horizon remained fixed. The cars stayed in place. And yet, something had changed. Because now, Rafiq understood. The road didn't just repeat. It evolved. It learned. It showed him things. Things that weren't there before. Things that felt familiar. Things that felt personal. You've been here before. This time, Rafiq didn't argue, because deep down, a terrifying possibility began to form. What if this wasn't the first time? What if he had taken this road before and just didn't remember? The car continued forward, unstoppable, and somewhere ahead, something else was waiting. Something new, or something he had already seen and forgotten. Chapter 8: The Drivers Who Never Stop. At first, they were just shadows, barely visible shapes at the edge of the headlights. Something your eyes would normally ignore. Something your mind would explain away. But on this road, nothing was ever just anything. Rafiq noticed the first one to his left. A car. Old. Dark. Moving at the exact same speed as him. It hadn't been there a moment ago. He was sure of it. His breath caught slightly. Another one. Relief didn't come this time. Only tension. Because now he knew. Nothing on this road appeared by accident. The car drifted closer. Not toward him, but into his awareness. Its headlights were dim, flickering faintly, like they hadn't been changed in years. Rafiq turned his head slightly. Carefully, slowly. Inside the car, there was a driver. A man, or something that used to be one. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. Too tightly. The knuckles looked stiff, unmoving. His face. Rafiq's stomach twisted. The skin was pale. Not just pale. Drained. His eyes were open. Wide. Unblinking. And they weren't looking at the road. They were looking straight ahead. At nothing. Hey, Rafiq whispered. No response. The man didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Yet the car continued forward. Perfectly aligned with the road. Perfectly controlled. Rafiq's chest tightened. He's not driving. The realization settled in slowly. The man wasn't in control. He was just there. Another car appeared. This time on the right. Then another behind it. Then another. Within moments, Rafiq was surrounded. Cars filled the empty road. Dozens. All moving at the same speed. All keeping perfect distance. None of them getting closer. None of them falling behind. Like they were part of a system. Rafiq's breathing grew shallow. No. He looked left again. The man was still there. Still gripping the wheel. Still staring ahead. Rafiq leaned slightly closer. His eyes narrowing. And then, he saw it. The man's hands were fused to the steering wheel. The skin had stretched. Melted. Blended into the surface. Rafiq recoiled. What? The man didn't react. Didn't feel it. Didn't even seem aware. Another driver caught Rafiq's attention. A woman this time. Her head tilted slightly to the side. Too far. At an unnatural angle. Her mouth hung open. Frozen. As if she had been screaming. And then stopped. Forever. Rafiq's pulse pounded in his ears. They've been here longer than me. The thought came uninvited. But it felt true. These weren't drivers. They were remains. Left behind. Still moving. Still trapped. Still driving. The cars stretched into the distance. Ahead. Behind. Everywhere. An endless procession. Rafiq's hands trembled violently. No, I'm not like them. The road hummed softly beneath him. As if responding. You will be. The voice wasn't from the radio. It wasn't from outside. It came from the car next to him. Rafiq froze. Slowly, he turned his head. The man beside him was looking at him, not forward, at him, his eyes wide, unblinking, and his mouth moved. You will be. Rafiq gasped and snapped his gaze forward. No. The cars didn't change speed, didn't react. Everything remained perfectly synchronized. Except now, Rafiq knew. They could see him. All of them. Even if they weren't looking. Even if their heads didn't move. They were aware. Watching. Waiting. The car behind him honked suddenly. A loud, sharp blast. Rafiq flinched. The sound echoed unnaturally. Too long. Too deep. He looked in the mirror. The driver behind him had no face. Just smooth skin stretched across where features should be. And yet, it honked again. Demanding. Insistent. As if telling him, keep moving. Don't stop. Never stop. Rafiq's chest tightened. They can't stop. The realization settled in. Heavy. Unavoidable. They don't want to stop. The voice corrected him. Again. From everywhere. Rafiq shook his head. No, they're trapped. A pause. Then, soft laughter. They were like you. Rafiq's breath caught. They thought that too. The cars around him flickered. Just for a second. Rafiq saw them differently. Not as vehicles, but as cages. Each one holding something that had once been human. Each one driving endlessly. Each one unable to escape. The vision snapped back. Rafiq gripped the wheel tighter. I won't become that. The road hummed again. You already are. His hands trembled. Because for the first time, they felt stiff. Slightly numb. As if they had been gripping the wheel for too long. As if letting go wasn't as simple as it should be. Rafiq tried to loosen his grip. His fingers didn't respond immediately. A wave of panic surged through him. No. He forced his hands open. They moved. Slowly. Reluctantly. But they moved. He gasped in relief. I'm still okay. But the road didn't respond. It just continued. Endless. And the cars remained. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All driving. All watching. All waiting. For him to join them. The horizon stayed fixed ahead. Unreachable. Unforgiving. And somewhere within the silent procession, Rafiq understood the truth. This road didn't just trap people. It kept them, preserved them, turned them into something else. Something that didn't need to stop. Something that didn't need to think. Something that just drove forever. And the most terrifying part was that none of them were trying to escape anymore. Because after long enough, they didn't want to. Chapter 9. The highway feeds on hope. Hope was the last thing Rafiq had left. Not logic. Not control. Not reality. Just hope. And the highway knew it. The moment the thought formed, I can still escape. Something changed. The road didn't shift. The horizon didn't move. The cars didn't disappear. But the feeling did. The air inside the car grew lighter. Easier to breathe. Rafiq blinked. What? For the first time since entering the highway, the pressure eased. His chest loosened. His heartbeat slowed. And ahead, something appeared. Not distant like the gas station. Not fixed like the horizon. Closer. Real. A break in the road. An exit. Rafiq's breath caught. No way. It was subtle. Almost easy to miss. A narrow ramp branching off to the right. Unlit. Unmarked. But unmistakable. An exit. Hope surged. Violent. Desperate. I knew it. His voice cracked with relief. I knew there had to be a way out. The cars around him didn't react. They kept moving. Straight. Unchanging. None of them took the exit. Rafiq frowned. Why aren't they? The thought stopped. Because it didn't matter. He wasn't like them. I'm getting out. He tightened his grip on the wheel. The exit grew closer. For the first time, distance changed. It was subtle, but real. The ramp was approaching. Rafiq's heart pounded. This is it. He began to turn the wheel. And this time, the car responded. Easily. Too easily. The tires shifted. The headlights angled toward the exit. And suddenly, the road felt normal. The darkness on the side no longer felt solid. The air felt lighter. The car felt his again. Relief flooded him. I'm out, I'm actually getting out. The exit was right there now. Just a few meters away. Freedom. Then, the radio crackled. Adieu. Rafiq froze. The voice again. Faint. Desperate. Don't take it. Rafiq's grip tightened. No, this is my way out. It's not real. His chest tightened. That's not true. None of this is real. The voice sounded weaker. Fading. But this part is worse. Rafiq hesitated. Just for a second. The exit remained there. Close. Waiting. Hope pulsed in his chest. I have to try. He turned the wheel further. The car began to move toward the ramp. And then, everything snapped. The road beneath him shuddered violently. The air grew heavy again. The exit stretched. It didn't stay where it was. It moved. Further away. Rafiq's eyes widened. No. He pressed the accelerator. The car surged forward. But the exit kept its distance. Just like the horizon. No, no, no. Panic surged. He pushed harder. Faster. The engine screamed. The ramp remained just out of reach. Always just beyond him. Hope twisted into something else. Desperation. I was right there. The road vibrated beneath him. The cars around him flickered. For a moment, they all turned toward him. Every driver. Every empty face. Watching. And then, they smiled. Rafiq's breath shattered. No. The radio whispered. The closer you think you are. The exit flickered. Now it looked different. Broken. Collapsed. Leading into darkness. The further you've already fallen. Rafiq's hands shook violently. This isn't real, this isn't real. The exit stretched further. Further. Unreachable. Hope drained from his chest. Replaced by something colder. Something final. Understanding. This road feeds on hope. The thought came quietly. And this time, it was his. The moment he believed he could escape. The road changed. It gave him something. Something to chase. Something to believe in. Only to pull it away. To drag him deeper. Rafiq's foot slowly lifted off the accelerator. The car didn't slow. It never did. The exit faded, slowly dissolving into the darkness. Gone, like it had never been there. The road returned to normal. Endless, unchanging. The cars realigned. Silent, watching. The horizon remained fixed. Rafiq slumped slightly in his seat, his breathing shallow, his hands weak on the wheel. It wants me to hope. His voice barely existed. Because hope keeps me going. The road hummed softly, agreeing. And in that moment, Rafiq understood the final rule. This wasn't a prison. Not exactly. It was a machine. And he was part of it. As long as he believed escape was possible. He would keep driving. Keep chasing. Keep feeding it. The highway didn't trap people by force. It trapped them with hope. And the cruelest part was that it only needed to be believable. Just once. Just enough. Because after that, you would never stop trying. And that was all it needed. The road stretched endlessly ahead. And this time, Rafiq didn't look for a way out. Because now he knew. There wasn't one. There never was. Chapter 10, You Were Never Meant to Escape. At some point, Rafiq stopped thinking about escape. Not because he found peace. Not because he accepted it. But because something inside him finally understood. There had never been a way out. The road didn't change. It didn't need to. It had already done everything it was supposed to do. It had taken his sense of direction. It had taken time. It had taken control. It had taken hope. Now, it was taking something deeper. Rafiq stared ahead at the horizon. Still there. Still unmoving. But now, it felt closer. Not physically. Not in distance. But in presence. Like it wasn't something far away anymore. Like it was waiting. For him. The cars still surrounded him. Silent. Perfectly aligned. The drivers didn't move anymore. Not even slightly. Because they didn't need to. Rafiq's hands rested on the wheel. Loose. Weak. He tried to move his fingers. They responded. But slower than before. Stiffer. Like they had been holding that position for too long. You know. His voice barely formed. He forced his fingers open. They moved. But something stayed. A faint resistance. Like the wheel didn't want to let him go. Or worse. Like he didn't want to let it go. Rafiq swallowed hard. The radio remained silent. But the silence wasn't empty. It felt full. Watching. Waiting. The horizon flickered. Just once. And in that moment, Rafiq saw it differently. It wasn't a line. It wasn't distance. It was a shape. Vast. Endless. Stretching across everything. Like a wall. Or something beyond a wall. His breath caught. What are you? The road hummed softly. No answer. But the cars around him shifted. Not position. Not speed. Awareness. One by one. The drivers turned their heads. Slowly. Deliberately. Until every single one of them was looking at him. Not forward. At him. Rafiq's chest tightened. Why are they? You're ready. The voice came from everywhere. Not loud. Not quiet. Certain. Rafiq shook his head weakly. No, I'm not. The horizon pulsed. The shape became clearer. It wasn't waiting for him to reach it. It was waiting for something else. For him to understand. You were never meant to escape. The words settled into him. Not as fear. As truth. Rafiq's eyes drifted to the car ahead. The white sedan. The one that had been there since the beginning. It flickered. And for the first time, it stayed different. There was no driver. No interior. Just darkness inside. Endless. Waiting. You know, Rafiq whispered. The car behind him honked once. A long, low sound. Like a signal. The cars around him shifted slightly. Closing in. Not physically, but in presence. Like they were making space. For him, you don't leave the highway. The voice returned. You become part of it. Rafiq's hands tightened unconsciously on the wheel. No. But this time, the word felt empty. Because something inside him already knew. The fuel gauge flickered. Still beyond full. The engine hummed. Alive. Steady. Endless. The horizon pulsed again. And suddenly, Rafiq understood. It wasn't a destination. It was a threshold. And he had already crossed it. His memories felt distant. Fading. The road felt familiar now. Comforting. Predictable. Like it had always been there. Like it had always been his. No, I had a life. The words felt wrong in his mouth. Like something remembered from someone else. The radio flickered once. Then, silence. Permanent. The cars around him began to spread out. Making room. Opening a space ahead. The white sedan drifted slightly. Moving aside. Inviting him forward. Rafiq didn't remember pressing the accelerator. But the car moved. Smoothly. Effortlessly. Into position. Leading. His breathing slowed. His hands steadied. The stiffness faded. Replaced by something else. Something easier. Something empty. The horizon no longer felt distant. It felt normal. Like it had always been there. Like it always would be. Behind him, the cars followed. Perfectly aligned. Silent. Watching. Waiting. For the next one. Rafiq's reflection appeared faintly in the windshield. But something was wrong. His eyes were too wide, too still, too empty, and his mouth curved slightly into something that wasn't quite a smile. The road stretched endlessly ahead. The horizon remained exactly where it had always been. And Rafiq didn't question it anymore. Because now, he understood his place. He wasn't trying to escape. He wasn't trying to survive. He wasn't even trying to understand. He was just driving forever and somewhere far behind him. A new car turned onto the road. A new driver. A new mistake. Just one wrong turn. And as the headlights appeared in the distance, Rafiq didn't turn around. He didn't need to, because he already knew what they would see. The endless road, the unmoving horizon, and the line of silent drivers ahead, waiting.
Closing chapter.
Every road you've ever taken had an end, a destination, a place where the journey stopped and something else began. But not this one. This highway doesn't exist to take you somewhere. It exists to keep you moving, to keep you hopping, to keep you chasing something you will never reach. Because the moment you realize the truth is the moment it's already too late. Rafiq thought he was driving through the night. But the truth is, the night was driving him. And maybe, right now, there are roads just like this one. Roads you pass without noticing. Turns you could take without ever coming back. So the next time you're alone on a dark highway, and the road stretches just a little too far, ask yourself one question. Is the horizon getting closer? Or are you already trapped? If this story stayed with you, if it made you question the roads you trust, then make sure you're ready for what comes next. Because some stories don't end when the video does. Some stories follow you home.